What's up everyone, Criddle here, and in this video we are going to go over the Bard class in Monsters and Memories. We will cover how I would build a new character and stat priority, the Bard's role in a group, how well the Bard can solo, and finally taking a look at some of the skills and abilities. First off, the Bard is a support DPS, which means it will be doing less damage than a primary DPS, but also using support songs to boost the rest of the party. In addition to buffs, the Bard has the ability to charm and debuff enemies as well, making it a well-rounded character and highly sought after for groups. As for races, the Bard can be a dwarf, halfling, human, or wood elf. I suspect deep dwarf, deep elf, and high elf to also be options once they are available. As always, race has no bearing on your character's stats, so choose whichever race you like the look of. Next up, let's talk about stats and how I would build this character. As a melee class, strength would be important for doing damage, so I would max that stat out. We also see both Dex and Charisma start a bit higher than the rest of the stats, indicating these are important for the class, and I would agree, so I would put both of these at 20 as well. You could forego Strength or Dex possibly for more stamina if you wanted a bit more survivability, but overall the 3 stamina would be negligible at best. Agility is mostly used for defensive stat, and while good for tanks, is not very beneficial to DPS at this time. Intelligence or Wisdom can be good for a Bard as they do use mana, but most Bard songs do not require mana, therefore I would say they're a wasted stat. Moving on to traits, let's take a look at the major combat traits. For this, I would say you have 5 options that are worth considering, and these are Brawn, Charismatic, Dexterous, Hardiness, and Slippery. Out of these, I would take Brawn or Charismatic, as the added strength will increase the physical DPS of the Bard, which is where most of its damage will come from, or Charisma, which will make it easier to mez or charm enemies. Dexterous is also a great option if you happen to be fighting higher level enemies and want to make sure that you can hit them, as Dex increases hit chance. Out of these, I would most likely choose Brawn myself, but any of these options are valid. Then we have Hardiness and Slippery, which are great options especially for solo players. Hardiness gives you the ability to resist stun more often, or give you stun immunity for 15 seconds, while Slippery does the same but for root. If trying to solo, either of these abilities could be a lifesaver, especially as you get higher level. Hardiness may also have the added benefit at higher levels, as named or raid mobs may have AoE stuns. For minor combat traits, the main thing you want to look at here is the ability to increase the skill 25% faster. The starting skill will help you for the first level or 2, but after that, all of your skills should be over 5. Because of that, I would most likely take Defender here, as I will not be taking direct hits very often. I would, however, like to keep my defense as high as possible for those times when I am taking hits from enemies. Other options here would be Knife Thrower or Shieldman, but I honestly don't see Bards using either of those abilities often, especially Shieldman, as they will have the ability to dual wield at level 15, in which case I doubt any Bard will be using a shield after that unless they are kiting solo. The rest of the options here you will be using often and should be able to keep maxed out at each level. Major non-combat trait choice is fairly easy for me, as I would go Master Artisan if I plan to do a lot of trade skills, and if not, I would choose Forage for the free food and drink. I will say Bard is a good choice for doing trade skills, as they will have decently high charisma, as well as a song which will increase their faction to a target. This could prove useful down the line depending on how important faction is with specific trade skills. Commerce is one in particular that would benefit. As for the fast or slow metabolism, neither of these are worth grabbing in my opinion, as endurance doesn't do much for you other than allow you to jump a few extra times before needing to rest, and food and drink are easy to get once you start making a little bit of coin. Infravision and Ultravision may be options for those who don't want to adjust their monitors or want the full immersion experience when playing the game. This leaves Iron Lungs, which can be overcome with the Endure Breath spell. And finally, the minor non-combat trait. This one is really up to you based on what trade skill you may want to level. As I mentioned before, Commerce would work well in a Bard, so the Merchant trait might be a good choice, and Tracking would also be a good choice once it becomes available. I would not recommend skills that are easier to level, like Lumberjack or Mining, but ultimately you'll be able to max out all of these eventually, so no matter what you choose, it won't matter in the long run. That's all for how I would build a new character, so let's take a look at some of the skills and abilities. Bards will start off with normal skills like slashing, offense, and everything needed to play its songs at level 1, so simply go out and start playing to increase those. You will have to learn dodge, however, so once you have 1 copper, head over to your class trainer and buy 1 point of that. Bards will also learn the meditation skill at level 4, but as I mentioned before, mana shouldn't be a huge issue. However, I would pick this up next time you return to your trainer and start leveling it once you can. Dual wield and double attack will unlock at levels 15 and 20 respectively, and they are must-haves for the Bard as both will increase your DPS significantly as you level them up. Moving on to abilities. Bards have a variety of songs at their disposal. One great feature of the Bard is they are able to cast their songs while they are doing melee DPS, so you simply weave those songs into a rotation. Now you may be asking, what is weaving? Bard songs for the most part last for 18 seconds and each one has about a 3-second cast time. So the idea is that you would cast 4 or 5 songs in a rotation, effectively keeping all the buffs active at once. Do note that the direct damage songs are instant and also the songs that consume mana. Because of this, I believe these songs will be most beneficial while soloing, as when in groups you will want to keep as many buffs active as possible. Some of these songs you will want to weave will be Strength, Agility, and Dex buff, the Health regen and Mana regen, which are 2 separate buffs, and the Melee and Spell Haste, which are also 2 separate buffs. In addition to those, Bard has a Magic Resist, Movement Speed, and a combo Invisibility C Invisibility buff. Lastly, the Bard also has an Attack and Movement Speed debuff, which will be welcome to any group as both of these are needed, especially as you get higher level and fight tougher enemies. Overall, looking at the abilities at the Bard's disposal, they will be group friendly and welcome in any group or raid. They will also be able to solo fairly well by kite soloing, which is the act of leading an enemy around in a small area while doing damage to it. Bards will do this exceptionally well with their attack and movement speed debuff I mentioned before, as well as their direct damage and damage over time songs. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the content or found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and follow. Also, be sure to tune in on my Twitch streams where we will play and chat about Monsters and Memories, as well as many other games. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!